Good evening. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals for March 8th, 2023 is now in session. I would like to introduce my board. To my far left is Skip Sweeney and Brandon Dines. I'm Ivan Valentic. To my right is Davey Rowan. As you notice tonight, we have only 4 people on the board. And Heather Freeman is to our far right, our zoning inspector. Under the advice of counsel, we ask that anyone speaking tonight must be sworn in. If you plan on speaking, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help me God. If so, say I do. I do. Thank you. Please be seated. When presenting your case and commenting, make sure you come up to the microphone and state your name and address and confirm that you've been sworn in. Heather, were the legal notices published in a timely manner?
Yes.
Okay. We have one conditional use permit and 1 variance appeal, which includes an administrative appeal tonight. A 3-vote majority is required to either approve or deny the appeal. If the request is denied, you have the right to file an appeal. As you notice that we only have 4 people on the board tonight. Traditionally, we have 5. So if you do not want to move forward with your case this evening, it can be tabled till next month when we have a full 5-person board. Okay? But if you want to move forward, we could continue to move forward. So first is conditional use permit application 2023-25J Bernard on behalf of the property owner, Concord Plaza Limited Liability Company is requesting conditional use permit in accordance with section 13.17 to allow for ATM drive-through facility for the property located at 9853 Johnny Cake Ridge Road, current parcel number 10-A-028-D-00-0001-0. Please come up.
Hello, Chris Biggers, 131 East Commerce Street, Milford, Michigan. I'm in for Jay Bernard, the applicant.
And do you want to move forward with the case with the 4-person board this
Yes.
evening? Okay, great. Thank you.
We're obviously, as it states, we're seeking a.
Excuse me, sir.
So
You
you
haven't
go
been sworn in?
Oh yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're here to seek a conditional use permit for a drive-through facility on the property, as noted. And we're seeking to place it in a position that is outside of within all these setbacks. It'll have secure lighting, and will address any of the traffic problems. There used to be an ATM already on the site, so we're reinstalling a ATM near the site of the old site, but we've repositioned it to address several of the traffic problems.
Yeah, because this was in front of us once before.
Yes, and I think we had some traffic issues to deal with at the time.
Yes.
I think it'd be helpful if you could take us through what you've done, what the changes are, how you revised the plan, and what you see, how it's more beneficial now, and to what extent you still do need a variance.
We will potentially need a variance, a couple variances, but at the moment we're just trying to see if we can get the use approved, because we may be able to resolve some of the variances as we work through the actual site plan. We're not requesting the variances at this time. But I believe we had it to the south a little bit on the south aisle, the south drive aisle, which means we were going to turn all the traffic to go one way down that south aisle, and then we were going to turn. The problem we were having is that we would have had to turn into one way, which means everyone would have exited that way. I think we've expanded the 3-car stacking to be the way we have it now. It goes with the traffic flow, and we're able to provide a separate aisle to keep cars from being congested into the aisle of the South Drive. I don't know if you remember it, but we had in the South Drive, and I think cars just had to go in, and we were worried they were gonna turn right out with the traffic. So now they have their own distinct path to go around the ATM and are also in the same direction.
So is the intent, and I can show, is the intent that you would come in this way to access the ATM?
Look at you would come in.
The next page.
Oh yeah, go to the next page. Will be clearer.
Oh, here we go.
There we go. So if you can see cars right here are coming down this way, there's cars coming this way. We would turn
Okay.
and follow the same traffic flow. And also provide a distinct aisle to keep cars out from getting confused and being in the aisle.
Is that just striped off that, or is there
Yes,
curbing?
that's all striped. There is 2 light poles and bollards in the island. If you see the oval, the sort of oval shape, that is a concrete curb sticking up. So the ATM will be sitting on the curb. There'll be light poles there. There'll be bollards there. We just striped off the gray areas of striping just because we want to keep some clearance and not trap people in there. But the actual ATM has bollard and it's on a curb. But it's far within the gray striping.
But, so there's 3 cars stacking.
Yeah, we're supposed, I believe the ordinance requires 5. The bank has done studies that only 3 is really sufficient because no one's gonna, people don't, when they get 4 or 5 stacked, they don't stay at the ATM. They won't continue to use it, they'll drive off, is what they found. And also that if we want to add 5 car stacking in the aisle, out of the aisle, we will have to remove some parking spaces. But this site is already well under 340 are required, and 225 are provided already. So the site's already non-compliant in the parking. So we're trying to avoid eliminating more parking spaces than we show. But also what we're doing is we're taking out spaces, but we're adding them to the north side. So we're not actually eliminating parking spaces currently. So if we want to bring the cars out of the aisle to do 5 car stacking, we'll have to remove parking spots. So currently we're removing 5 spaces, but adding 5 spaces.
But we're only reviewing the conditional use permit anyway.
Correct.
Because when I look at it, I don't know. There's also a safety component in keeping all those spaces right up against that. You know, if somebody's parked there and there are 3 cars stacked, can somebody really comfortably back out of there? But it's not really today what we're talking about. So as they go through, do they have to turn right to leave?
We did that just because that aisle on the right, a lot of people are going to be turning left into the center and some will be going straight. We kind of wanted them to go right just to avoid confusion of crossing into the left turn. If they want to make a left, they would have to cross into the next lane. They could do it and not be a big issue, but we felt that it's just better that if we just have them turn right. If they want to turn left, they're going to have to cross into the middle lane. The aisle's already almost 36 feet wide now, but it's not really striped as it's currently. So you just got a point where if people don't turn right, we just didn't want them to try to jump to turn left. And if they turn right, they can always turn right back into the center. And I know on this road we have there's a north entrance and then there's there's another entrance.
It's 2 other entrances.
Yeah, there's like another entrance right there, then there's an intersection all right in the right way. So we wanted to just try to avoid people turning left when possible out of this area.
It's just strictly an ATM. There's no speakers, there's no
Nope.
attendant or teller, anybody assisting.
And these days they're trying to make these more remote to people because people don't go inside banks anymore. So the whole bank is not efficient, and they also need to get an ATM in this area because there's not many First National banks available, and they have to get access to the people who have accounts here. So if there's not one here, they gotta find a place to put one.
Anyone else have any other questions? Did you review the general standards for this conditional use permit?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You guys got anything?
No questions.
It's better. It's not great, but it's better. It still makes me a little nervous how people would get in and out of there, and the safety of people trying to back out in those spaces right adjacent to it. And it's still, you would need a variance to stack 5 instead of 3.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we're not too concerned with the variance you got, because if we wanted to go 5 stacking, we could take those spaces out. But then I assume we would need variance for those removal of those 3 spaces. Would that be, or is this a non-conforming? Because this is non-conforming, would that still need a variance if we remove 3 spaces?
Okay.
But I guess, I realize you're not concerned with the variances yet, but the whole picture of this and the conditional use, as we go through the code, it all kind of interplays, right? So I think our concerns are, they all kind of dovetail one into the other. So it's a little bit difficult to envision the conditional use, knowing then that there's going to be all these other things. And I think even by virtue of what you're required to do, it's arguable there's still an important component of what you're asking for even tonight in the conditional use.
We're also giving them a conditional use, and there isn't a building or facility associated with this on this property, which is challenging.
Right.
And I believe there's some vacant spaces which they might be able to work with the landlord to get some space there, but it's like they can't negotiate if they can't have the drive-through. Because they won't even go to the space.
Yeah.
Yes, a question about, you said you're using marking and for the areas that kind of for where people are supposed to go, you're marking off the areas where they're not supposed to go. Is there a reason why that's not curbed and landscaped? I guess what's not to stop somebody from parking there around that area?
We would be willing to curb that and put landscaping there if that was something you guys would desire. I just didn't want to narrow down, I just wanted to leave some clearance. So maybe if we put the curb in, maybe we wouldn't go right to the 12-foot line, maybe leave a little more, just so fire trucks and stuff don't get too congested there. But we definitely would be willing to curb that middle island if that was.
Yeah, and I think parking is the biggest concern. In addition to, the main road traffic exiting and entering, but I think with the parking, like daytime hours, I've been over there. It's usually not bad. It's in the evening that sometimes it's hard to get a spot there, and I think that's where, if this were approved, like I said, I could see people parking all around,
in the gray area,
potentially, or not realizing that they're not supposed to park there potentially. Mm-hmm. So I guess that would be.
And we could potentially maybe add a couple spaces to the right, but to the south right area, we could maybe add a few spaces in that area. But that whole area right now is one complete paved area, so we could, we could add some curbs in to help. I mean, right now it's just a big wide open. You can just drive in. You can drive in anywhere along this whole path. Right now, if it's not striped at all.
Yeah.
And it's very, you don't know which is the aisle or the parking spot currently.
So we said, net we're losing how many spaces?
We're not losing any spaces right now. We've taken the 5 out and we're adding them to the north side.
Excuse me, that's not correct.
Or is it?
The plans are showing that on your demolition page that you're removing
Oh, are we?
8 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
And then replacing with 5 others.
Oh, you're right. Okay, I was missing with the other one. So, but we could probably actually add 2 more.
This would require a variance to add
That
2
one
more
would need
on
a
that.
variance
Yeah,
also, so-
yeah, because
Okay,
the
so we
parking
are
spots
losing
need to be
3 spaces.
25% or 25 feet back.
And then if we went to the 5-car stacking, so obviously if we went to 3-car stacking, we'd need a variance for that.
Yes.
But if we did 5-car stacking, we'd lose.
I would need the variance to lose more spaces.
Yeah, we'd have up to 5 more, 3 to 5 spaces gone there. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way to, worst case scenario, 5-car stacking. How do we gain spaces if we need to? So
They got a need for an ATM. I'm like we talked about last time. I just don't know if this is the best location. Again, I think the plans overall, what they have is better than last time, but it's still cars leaving. They have to turn right. What if somebody that's coming down wants to turn right? Do they have to scoot over? But his point probably is you could probably just use one of the other entrances. It's probably easier to come in and out of there.
Well, and again, I think in part, if you look at the code 1305G, on-site circulation shall be designed to provide for adequate fire and police protection and safe and efficient pedestrian and vehicular circulation. I mean, quite honestly, I don't know if the vehicular circulation is adequately proven to us right now or provided to us right now to make that decision. Have you talked to the fire department or anybody else about any concerns they have?
We talked to them a while ago with our first item. They didn't really have any issues because they have their 26-foot clearance for
Good
fire
deal.
trucks. So fire trucks don't have any issue getting in and out here. If we do curb, that's why I was saying if we do curb like the gray areas, maybe we might pull the curbs like off a couple feet to make a wider drive to make sure we don't interrupt them.
right.
That's why the striping is, they can get in easily with this.
Heather, would a traffic analysis of this whole area be required if we got this approved and they went, because they're redoing the entrance? I know it's an existing entrance, that's why it's a kind of a gray area, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't really know.
I think if we end up touching, like physically adding a curb towards in the right of way, you could end up getting that we might have to redo the whole apron.
Yeah.
Like it might have to come up to which then I think creates more question of are we narrowing they might want the entrances narrowed.
Yeah, and I'm not asking you to be difficult or argue, I'm just trying to understand it. And again, I know you want to come back for variances, but again, I'm looking at the code and even in section H, development designed to have access to public streets in a manner that minimizes traffic hazards or congestion. And when I'm looking at this right now, I think my concern, the board's concern is are we creating more congestion rather, or more hazards? I don't know if we're minimizing that or if it's designed to minimize that, because what I'm hearing is there's more to come as far as get the conditional use, but then do X, Y, and Z. And I just, from the plans, I'm a little bit concerned.
Well, I mean, our feeling is that right now our traffic flow is better than what's there now. If we go through that's what our feeling is. Right now, there's no in-out, really any demarcation of the entrances.
And I understand that, but I don't know by putting
Yeah.
a structure there if that all alleviates that or makes it better. The present status of it not being compliant or not being beneficial by doing this, I don't know if that helps it. To your point, maybe it does. Maybe then all this work is done and it creates something much easier for everybody. Again, I'm just saying, I don't know if I see that in the plans. I have a real comfort level right now understanding it.
So the reason you keep coming back to this spot is because there was an ATM, or did you guys look at other locations?
They are always actively looking around for spaces. Many of the sites are not this large, like with this large of a site. We can't just go into little centers here
Right.
because we're taking a lot. So a lot of these we look at, they're large shopping center areas with large land areas and large parking lots. So they study where they want to try to get these. They can't just go in any site on this.
Yeah, so this parking lot in this area is ideal for this.
Yeah, they're in the location. The demographics are good. The land area is good because they can't have their customers getting jammed in either. So
Did you guys, I guess, look at other spots, places in this parking lot to maybe put this ATM that might work away from the entrance, that might work a little bit better?
we've looked, but also the landlord. We've been dealing with landlord too, and he's wants something here. So we've had to work many different things with them. So, but even if we go elsewhere, we end up having to take spots out, rearranging.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like we could. There's space to do it. We might lose more spaces in another location. Like it takes out way more parking spots. We saw the area with that drive, where the old drive-through is. We could add spaces back in that location.
Yeah. I just wonder.
Otherwise, we're like in the middle of a parking lot, or we're down back to the south end. And the north end, I think, is too narrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Anyone else then? You can be seated.
Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here speaking for this appeal that'd like to come up?
In opposition?
Yes.
Yeah, that was my next question. Anyone against this appeal that would like to come up? We're all gonna take turns.
Oh, I'll go first then, that's fine, I'm already here. Do I need to be sworn in?
If you were,
I mean, I was with the group when it was done,
Did you?
so,
Oh, you were, okay.
yeah.
All right, raise your right
If I
hand.
can do it,
Do
yeah.
you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God? If so, say I do. And state your name, confirm that you've been sworn in,
Sure.
and your address.
Nicholas Ovsenik, 7815 King Memorial Road, which is Menor, Ohio, but I own, or part owner of Ridgewood Kitchen and Spirits in the plaza.
Okay, and you were sworn in.
Yes.
All right, go ahead, sir.
More or less, the plaza doesn't have adequate parking as it is to lose one parking spot, let alone three. It's congested on, every weekend, as Mr. Rowan mentioned. I have some information off of an outdated parking space record from the township, and it's already deficient 115 spots. And when I went through everything, it's closer to 220 spots that is deficient on current information. I don't have a whole lot more than that because it's already, I mean, that spot over there, the way our plaza is on that curve, it's already somewhat dangerous pulling in and out of there, and then adding something that creates more stop and go doesn't quite seem to make sense. So I'll leave it at that, really. I don't have much more. Those are the key points. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them, but
Have you talked to your landlord about this?
about this specific
Yeah.
situation? No,
No.
I haven't. I mean, it's pretty new. I more or less just found out about it.
Okay. Anyone else have questions for him? No. Go, David.
When I don't know if the previous ATM was there when you were there.
No, the previous ATM was
Curious
never
if-
there. And not to mention, there's, I think, roughly 6 ATMs either in the plaza or touching the land there. I mean, there's literally Fifth Third next door. The gas station there has an ATM. Multiple businesses inside the plaza have ATMs. The convenient next door to us or behind us, whichever way you want to look at it, has an ATM. And it may not be a First National ATM, but in all honesty, there's not, First National Bank is not a huge thing around here. The only one that I can think of in the area is on 615 in Menor. I'm not aware of one in Concord, which is, I don't know probably why they want their specific ATM there. But it doesn't seem to quite make sense, especially in that location. Like I said, it's already like a bit of a hazard pulling in and out of there with the bend and 84 there. I don't see it as a safety issue. Not to mention as well that during the winter when they're plowing snow, how many spots are we going to lose because there's this structure? There's already the marquee sign there, which is great because it's visible for all of our businesses. But then right behind that, there's going to be another structure with snow to get pushed against it and whatnot, and then even more spots that could be lost.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I was sworn in. My name is Tony Campbell. I'm representing the barbershop, Nikki's Barbershop, that's in Concord Plaza. I did raise my hand.
Yeah, your address.
It is 8409 Camden Crossing in Concord Township, right here down the road. And I'm going to echo exactly what Nick said. My father has owned the business at the barbershop for a couple of years, but he's been in that space for probably 3 decades. So he's been there quite some time. The space is a great space. A lot of great businesses are there, but we are here to document opposition to just, it's congested. It's already kind of risky getting in and out of there, and putting another ATM structure in there is just wouldn't be good business, certainly from our perspective.
Okay.
And I echo the same thing. I know I drive up ATMs. I know I read in the paperwork that safety is an utmost concern, but again, that Fifth Third is probably could throw a softball at it from where they are in Concord Plaza. So there's certainly other options for Concord residents. Probably not that bank, but certainly others that exist for our residents.
Any questions? No.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
I'm John Simodi. I have been sworn in back there. Address is 7981 Ravenna Road. I own the Subway in that plaza. And same as everyone else is concerned, in the evening time, we just don't have enough parking spaces. I know I lose business because people come in and they tell me on a Saturday, oh, we're going to do Subway Thursday night, but there's nowhere to park, so we went somewhere else. So, like I said, giving up parking spaces is going to be hurting businesses that are already there. Even when I go to the bank at Fifth Third, the teller tells me at 5 o'clock when she leaves, she's amazed because the Fifth Third, which is a separate thing, is full of cars with people parking at Fifth Third and walking to the plaza. That shows the shortage of spots. And as far as an alternative spot, I don't know if it's feasible, but Dollar General, they already have a drive-through built in from the previous renter, and they don't have a pharmacy, so they don't use a drive-through. They may be able to put their ATM machine right in the drive-through at Dollar General. That's an idea.
Any questions? Nope. No. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for coming in. Is there anyone else here speaking against the appeal that'd like to come up? If there's no further questions, the public hearing for conditional use permit 2023-25 is now closed to the public. Can I get a motion to approve conditional use permit 2023-25?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Discussion for the board? Anyone want to start? Say anything?
Well, procedurally, I want to make sure that I'm thinking about this correctly. So the application is only for a
Conditional use permit.
conditional use permit. All right, and we could deal with everything else later, but if he doesn't meet the requirements of the conditional use permit language in the code, then it doesn't go through. And from what I could see, it doesn't meet that. Anybody
I would
disagree with me?
It doesn't meet it on multiple levels.
Multiple levels.
I mean, I think oftentimes, like I tried to say, we try to find ways to make these things work for businesses and people as best
Absolutely.
we can. You know, I don't think we're here to be a bunch of hard cases, but, 13, 17, A, C, G, I, K, L, I mean, there's so many concerns on here.
Yeah.
And the elimination of parking spaces, it's just, it's tough. And again, I think we've all heard about the safety issues. These folks are speaking, their tenants there, they have concerns over safety, they have concerns over parking. Mr. Rowan's been there, I think we've all been there and ourselves perceived the lack of parking and some of the concerns, so.
I mean, when I could tell you from experience, when I moved here 20 years ago and went to that plaza, I mean, not to further depress the people who have businesses there, I would hesitate because I would pull in, I wouldn't be able to find a spot. And I'd be like, this is crazy. And that was 20 years ago. And I live all the way on the other side of the township now, so I don't really get back there. But to me, this whole parking situation over there is not good to begin with. Not to mention the traffic, not even to mention the safety pulling in and out from the road, but just the parking alone. I mean, I understand it's only a net, what, 3 spaces? Something like that. A net loss of 3 spaces.
If that variance were granted.
If
if
it was approved and the variance was granted.
They're losing at least 3 or 5 more spaces.
Yeah, and when I have pulled in there and driven around, I mean, it's like so cramped. And even if you find a spot, it's very difficult to get in it. So, I mean, so what does that have to do with this? Well, what it does is every movement in this parking lot by a car or a pedestrian sets off a chain reaction. And I just don't know what that chain reaction is going to be in this particular case. It's not going to be good. But I have difficulty with the applicant meeting the requirements of the conditional use permit.
Yeah, I don't agree with
I'm the
both
last
of you.
person to, to put a headlock on a business, but
Davey, do you have any?
it's really tough to.
I agree with what you guys have said. I think parking has been the biggest thing. I think that getting in and out of there is a problem, even when it's not like full, 100% are full. It's just a tough area to get in and out of. And for all the reasons you said with the conditional use, I don't know that it meets those requirements for us.
Well, and in fairness, again, I think we try to bend over backwards to accommodate certain things to the extent that we can do that. I haven't appreciated a necessary hardship here by which the applicant has demonstrated that this is it. And I don't know they've overcome all the factors that are really impeding the process by which they put this in there. So for me, it's awfully difficult to say, based upon the testimony we've heard from the applicant and what we've seen from the applicant as far as their proposal, it rises to the level by which we would grant the conditional use. And it's not often that we have a reaction from folks who are vehemently against something, as we've heard tonight, by which it may compromise their business. And again, I hate to restrict a business. I hate to restrict a landlord. I hate to restrict any development in the township to the extent that this would be considered development, but it just doesn't seem to meet the test for me personally.
Okay. Heather, with that, the question is for the approval of variance appeal number 2023-25. A yes vote approves the conditional use permit. A no vote denies the conditional use permit. Please call the vote.
Mr. Rowan?
No.
Mr. Dines?
No.
Mr. Sweeney?
No.
And Mr. Volantic?
No. Conditional use permit has been denied. All right, thank you for everyone's time and coming out and making the trip. We appreciate it. I'll give everyone a second to clear out of here.
Every time I go in.
Thank you, sorry.
always on site. He's always working.
You guys really know how to clean out a room, don't you?
Yeah.
So you guys really know how to clean out a room, don't you?
All right, next on our agenda is variance appeal application 2023-124, Kimberly Perry and James Perry requesting the following for the property located at 11190 Spear Road, current parcel number 08-A-018-A-00-049-0. There's 3 items. I'll read all of them. We're gonna have to vote on each of these separately. As my understanding, you can present them all at once if you like, but we'll kind of have to go back and, come up for each one of them. So the first is a variance from section 15.03A6, table 15.03-1 to allow for more than one accessory building on a lot less than 2 acres. And we also will discuss and review and approve administrative appeal from the zoning inspector's decision and violation letter from section 11.01A stating that a zoning permit is required for accessory buildings. This is for the chicken coop, section 6.01. And also we will talk and discuss item C, administrative appeal from the zoning inspector's decision and violation letter from section 11.01A zoning permit required and 15.03A6 table 15.03-1 stating that the number of accessory buildings in an R1 district not less than 2 acres shall not exceed 1. This is for the greenhouse, section 6.01. Please come up.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Kimberly Perry. I have been sworn in.
Your address, please.
11190 Spear Road.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a preference where I start?
Oh, yeah. Great point. Do you want to go forward with 4 members, or do you want to table this to next month when we have 5 members? 3 vote majority is required either way. So you would need 3 yeses from this board to be approved for any of the items with 4 of us here.
To be completely honest, I'm having a rough night, so it might be best to table.
Table it? Okay. All right. Okay.
By no fault of the board, I appreciate you.
Yeah. No, we apologize for not having full board. Do we need a vote to table? Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I get a motion to table variance appeal application 2023-124?
I'll move to table variance that you noted. I can't see the number. Based upon the applicant's request to table it until next month to have a full board available.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good evening.
The last thing we have is on the agenda is approval of minutes from January 11th, 2023.
Where's that?
I think Skip was here for the minutes for that meeting. Davey, you were here and I was here. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes from January 11th, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on?
I'll just note my abstention.
Thank you. 1 abstention. All in favor of approving the minutes as written from January 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for March 2023 is now closed.